In today's show, we delve into the remarkable journey of Mark Givert, the visionary founder of Get Fitt. Mark's voyage commenced in the world of commercial property. However, as his triumphs grew, a sense of disillusionment crept in, prompting Mark to seek solace from the strains of corporate life. In 1991, he took the plunge and established London School of Mind, Body, and Spirit, a sanctuary dedicated to teaching meditation and orchestrating international courses and retreats. But as fate would have it, his dedication to this path came with a price, a severe toll on his health. Struggling with pain, fatigue, and a slew of ailments, Mark embarked on a profound quest for recovery. Enter far infrared light therapy, a revelation that would guide him back to vitality and fuel the inception of Get Fitt. He transformed his trials into treasure, working closely with medical professionals to craft far infrared programs that aid in pain relief and detoxification. Mr. Mark Givert, welcome to the show.
Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite interesting getting to know you. And when we had our first conversation, I knew that you would be the perfect guest for our show. And I don't even really recall how we got connected, but I do remember being at a point in time where I myself had been looking for some sort of like sauna situation, most likely like a sauna blanket that I could take with me on the road, something that was a little bit more portable. But obviously, there's loads and loads and loads of information out there when it comes to sauna blankets, right? So if you just put in sauna blanket online, you're gonna be just inundated with loads of products out there ranging in different prices. And when I started to look at getfit.com, I started to quickly notice that you guys are doing something a lot different than what I had normally seen. So I figured, why not invite you on the show? Let's talk about it. And then, of course, I myself have one of your products, so we'll talk about that as well. But let's start with your background, kind of piggybacking on the intro that I just gave. Let's talk about where you got started and how you're here today.
Thank you very much. Well, I think what I would describe as the information that's available online, I think I would describe more as misinformation. It's really a minefield, for people. And this is what we do. We're very blessed. A lot of our clients come from doctors and healthcare professionals, and that's kind of how we've been working for nearly 20 years. And our goal, of course, is to support people in their recovery and get the body working again. And certainly our experience has been that where there has been severe health challenges, unfortunately, a lot of the misleading information that's available is not too helpful.
Mm.
So hence, we don't just provide equipment for people. We provide training, we provide coaching, we run regular, free workshops and webinars to provide some backup. Our desire actually has always been to really accompany our clients on their health journey. The health journey doesn't, good health doesn't happen in a day. It's a journey, it's a decision. It's what we do on a daily basis that gives us good health. So, we really wanted to make sure that we were there, because what happens to so many people, they see a doctor, they see a practitioner who of course helps them, but where they have problems and challenges is if they haven't got that backup regularly, in community or with regular education where they can get some help and ask some questions. And of course, in all fairness, a lot of the doctors and healthcare professionals don't have that time.
Right. Well, so let's kind of backtrack a bit and let's identify sort of these moments in which you had that light bulb turn on,
Yeah.
or that aha moment to where you are now?
So that's really helpful. And my journey was actually that I was traveling extensively for
Mhm.
a lot of years. I spent a lot of time in the Himalayas, in the Amazon, in Peru and South America. I lived a good amount of time in the Amazon, and that really took a tremendous toll on my health. The things that I was exposed to, a lot of the parasites and organisms just from water and food and things that I was taking and eating in, shall we say, in the jungles and stuff. It was very hard, and the long and short of it was that after living that kind of way for maybe around 5 or 6 years, my body was really pretty damaged. I had a lot of fatigue. I had a lot of gut damage. Literally, my liver was the size of a football. I could not eat. If I ate food, I would be on the toilet 2 minutes later. Um, and I had irritable bowel. So I had no energy at all. My body just did not work. And it was only really when I stopped traveling and I returned to the UK in early 2000 that I actually had the opportunity to take some time out and start addressing the health problems that I had. And I was very fortunate. Again, early 2000, I was introduced to the far infrared technology that actually originates in Japan. So it wasn't really particularly available in the West at that time, and I started working with a great Japanese company, and they were very much leaders in the field. And in about 8 months, and I had to work with some nutrition as well and some antimicrobials to get rid of a lot of the infections that I had. But long story short, in 8 months, I was fully recovered. And bear in mind that I'd been unwell for about 6 years,
Mm.
and I had been trying everything in the meantime to try and get well, and I just couldn't do it. And here's a crazy thing. I part of my background was I used to do a lot of martial arts, and I did conventional martial arts. I did Thai boxing and some of the kung fu stuff, and I started to get involved a little bit more in some of the more esoteric martial arts, namely Tai Chi. And that was of interest to me because I was always kind of involved with healing before I got into the far infrared and Get Fit. And why I reference that is that when I was doing the Tai Chi classes, actually one of the reasons I wanted to do the Tai Chi was because I was getting very injured in the Thai boxing. I got a lot of bone damage and bone bruising and all kinds of injuries, and it was taking me like 8 to 12 weeks to heal from the injuries that I was getting during the training and sparring and competition and stuff. And I had this idea. I'd read a little bit about the Tai Chi and that it can help the body to heal.
Mm.
So I started doing some training and some classes in the Tai Chi. And crazy thing, I was doing one of the classes and suddenly I felt, the only way I can describe it is I almost felt like this electricity or this fire moving through my body. I had no idea what was going on. I was pretty freaked out. So I went up to the instructor and said, look, this is what's going on. What's happening here? He said, oh, you're feeling the energy. I said, oh, okay. So I thought, oh, yeah, sure. Okay. So it took a little bit of a moment to digest that. And I just started thinking about it. So I said, okay, so I'm feeling all this energy. And then I had some questions. I said, look, can I direct this energy? So he goes, well, yeah, you can. So I said, okay, can I direct it to heal damage or injury or my own health issues? So he goes, yes, you can. So I said, okay, good, that's that. And then I thought, oh, well, if I can use that energy to heal my body, I said, can that be directed in a way to help somebody else, to heal somebody else's health issues or challenges? And he said, yes, you can. And that was kind of, my introduction to, I guess, the world of energy. And why I'm giving that backstory is because as I was, this was way before Get Fit. I was doing the martial arts. I was feeling, all this energy going on in my body. And what happened was when I took my first far infrared treatment, I actually felt that same energy moving through my body exactly as when I was doing the Tai Chi. So the far infrared, basically what I realized was that the far infrared was this same energy that was being generated, during the Tai Chi. And there are some studies which have been done that demonstrate that far infrared is the far infrared actually originated with the Qigong masters looking to create some technology that would recreate basically the healing that would be given by these Qigong teachers. So it kind of all ties in. And as I said, to my surprise, when I did my first treatment, I felt the energy. I felt the energy from the far infrared going to all the damaged areas in my body, to the organs. I felt it flowing through all the energy system, the meridians. I felt it all going on. So I kind of knew what the far infrared was doing. I didn't need research. I felt it happening. But of course, I couldn't exactly go out to the public and say, hey, this is really great. I felt all this stuff.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I had a bit of a sciencey background. So what I then did was I thought, well, to bridge the gap with what I know, let me see what science there is that to bridge the gap that I can present to doctors and clinics and healthcare professionals. And fortunately for me, there was a lot of science out there that would validate, what I knew the far infrared was doing. So that's kind of the backdrop. And as I said, in 8 months, I was fully recovered. I never had any relapses of the fatigue. I never had any recurrence of the problems. And actually, my health has been kind of super robust and only ever, getting better and improving, actually. But I emphasize, I think, as we touched on, in the public arena, everyone is talking about heat and sauna and the need to sweat to benefit, the need to sweat to detoxify. And that for me is a big myth that I love to bust.
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely want to touch on that, because that's where I get asked a lot. I get that same question on, well, what temperature should it be and how long and this and that. And we will get to that. But before we get to that, because I'm always fascinated with how people build their companies or they build their career. And so I'm kind of on the timeline here. So you got to that point where you healed yourself within 6 to 8 months, and you're now sort of trying to figure out how you can harness what you felt as a healing agent. What was that next step? Did you create your own, like were you doing your healing in a sauna blanket? Were you outside? How did you get to where we are now with Get Fit?
So the original technology that I was using, we didn't really have the full body treatment at that time. All I had was like an arch that went over my body, and I would kind of move it up and down. And the technology at that time was nowhere near. I mean, I had great results in 8 months. The technology we have now is way more powerful than anything that I had. So things have, if I had now, if I had then what the technology we have now, it wouldn't have taken anything like 8 months.
And what do you mean by it being more powerful?
So the simply generating more light, more far infrared. Yeah, that's the bottom line. So really good question. More powerful means we're generating a lot more light. And think of it like this. Think of the body as a mobile phone or a battery that you're putting on, you're sticking into the mains and you're charging it up. That's what you're doing when you're taking the far infrared. You're introducing pure energy, pure light into the cells of your body. The body needs to do nothing with that other than use that energy for whatever it needs.
I'm going to be throwing you a bunch of fastballs here, or not even fastballs, but a bunch of softballs, I should say, because a lot of this I know we've already talked about, and a lot of this I know that you've addressed quite well, especially on your website, things like that. Which, by the way, Gordon may be popping up some videos and images from the website, which the website is just getfit.com. Is that correct?
It's get GET and then a dash and then fit FITT.com.
So get-fit FITT.com. So when it comes to talking about things being more powerful, you very well addressed very succinctly. But then the next thing that comes to mind, because you did call out, imagine using like a cell phone or something like that. The thing that I think about next is EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies or electromagnetic fields, non-native, right? And so when I think about more power, usually what comes with that as a byproduct is more EMFs. What are your thoughts on that, and what have you done to kind of correct that or mitigate that?
Well, that's a really good question, and there's a few things that we've done. So when bearing in mind that what we are doing is we have, you know, electrically powered equipment, and any appliance, and I don't care, you know, who it is, anyone who's claiming that there's no electrical fields, yeah, that is just not possible if something is being plugged into an electrical socket. Okay, so many people will make many claims, and there's a lot of things that are misunderstood, because with the far infrared actually neutralizes and antidotes the effects of electropollution, of electromagnetic stress, number one. So the first thing I explain is, and again, you know, people don't really understand electrical fields. And what I mean by that, very simply, is when we're stressed, when the body's damaged, when we're ill and the body's not working properly, interestingly enough, there is an electrical charge within our cells, or there should be. But guess what? When we're unwell, that electrical charge has been depleted. So, for want of a better phrase, think of it as a voltage deficiency, an electrical field deficiency in the body, actually. So, this is one of the reasons that we are susceptible to external electromagnetics, is because actually the things that the health challenges that we're facing, the toxic overload that we may be dealing with, and even the electromagnetic stress has all disrupted our body's natural electrical field. Think of it as electrical immunity.
I
Okay?
do a lot of discussions around that very idea of the voltage within the cells of the body, and a lot of my experience with that comes from the world of grounding and earthing, and so when a person starts to understand that our cells are like little capacitors, little batteries, then it should be easier to understand that at the end of the day, we're all energy, right? We're all frequencies, and we're cells that are vibrating at a certain frequency. And so when you lose that charge, or you lose that voltage as you're describing, then we should do certain things to help rebuild that charge,
For sure.
which would be a lot like, you know, if your phone goes into low power mode, that means it's probably not going to work as efficiently as it
Exactly.
right. So
Yeah.
this is, it sounds like what you're talking about, and you can do that not with just grounding and earthing, but it sounds like you can do that with light therapy as well.
Absolutely. And you know, with regards to grounding, I'd like to give people a little bit of additional information that is not commonly available. And again, this is born out of my own experience. I've done a lot of research into grounding. And as I said, I'm quite sensitive, you know, to energy. And the thing about grounding is, think of it like this: there's healthy ground and there's unhealthy ground.
Hmm.
Okay. And again, this is something we specialize in. There's something called geopathic stress, which very simply is, shall we say, electromagnetic stress that can result from a particular type of geological formations in a particular area, and also water courses and water formations. These can all generate, shall we say, stressful and disruptive electrical fields. Okay. So some locations and geographical areas have healthy electromagnetic fields. Other areas may not be so healthy and can be generating stressful electromagnetic fields that actually cause stress and start, you know, causing illness for the body. So if you're grounding in actually, say, a healthy electromagnetic environment, great. But you know, some people, I had the experience, I was in an area that was actually an unhealthy electromagnetic space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I started grounding. I had some grounding kit, and I put my grounding rod in, ran it to my grounding sheet, and I was having a terrible time, you know, for many months. And then I realized, you know, that there was this geopathic stress. And because there's no filter, you know, on the grounding equipment, you're going to get, if there's good, shall we say, electrical fields being generated, you're going to get them. But if there's, shall we say, stressful electrical fields being generated by the local geography, you're going to get those too.
Yeah. And I would love to piggyback on that, and allow people at least the hope that there is there are very, very good ways of testing that. And then I think it was important that you noted that you are very sensitive to it. So there's a number of ways to look at this, right? There's the just blanket response of, oh, all grounding is good grounding, which I definitely don't agree with. Then there is all grounding is bad grounding, which I definitely don't agree with either. Then there's people who are sensitive to either of those scenarios, which I definitely agree with. And then there's ways to test it. And so it goes back to everything I think we're going to be discussing further today with your products is there's a load of technology out there on the market. And it's not that Get Fit is the only one that's the good one, right? But there people should be doing what we're doing, and what I think you've done with your company is try to put out the most amount of information that we can, and allow people to go and then find out for themselves. And the whole point to all of this is you've got to try it yourself. You can't just take my word for it, take Mark's word for it. You've got to go out and try it and test it. And like you, I've been utilizing grounding for a long time, and I understood what you're talking about quite early on. And when I started finding ways to test it, that's when I was like, oh, that's why this maybe didn't feel as good as the others, you know? So I just wanted to throw that out there before people get scared and then go throw away their grounding kit.
No, listen, it's like with everything. My message is, we lead with education.
Mm.
So, we provide people with all the information. There's plenty of tools. There's plenty of technologies to help nullify these disruptive local electromagnetic fields. So, not to panic anybody. There's a lot that you can do. And the far infrared also helps to offset and alleviate, some of those stresses. So it's just really pay attention to your body and what your body is telling you rather than what everybody else is telling you.
So let's jump into, Gordon has on the screen here a diagram of a body, and then it has a bunch of bubbles around it that talk about the different benefits of far infrared or infrared light therapy. So let's dive into that, because I think we've gotten to a point where people are kind of like, all right, what are you guys talking about? What can I get? What should I not get? Let's go into it.
So we work and have worked with leading doctors and biochemists who, in again early 2000, were developing special new cellular testing and DNA testing, and this was pretty revolutionary at the time. Even now, I would say a lot of that work is only just really coming into the public arena. And why I'm referencing that is because it gave us a reference point as to actually what's going on in the body, what's going wrong in the body. And what we discovered from these tests were being rolled out, and we were seeing thousands of our clients taking these tests. And what we observed in the tests, the best way to describe it is, we observed that there were 4 or 5 common factors underlying illness, irrespective of what the diagnosis was. So whatever something was called, whatever the medical profession had given as a diagnosis for a particular problem, we saw that, for all the different conditions, there were 4 or 5 things occurring for everybody over and over and over again. It didn't matter what the problem was. And this was revealed in the cellular tests. What we were seeing was, number one, we were seeing cellular contamination, meaning we were seeing toxins show up in the cell membranes, in the cells themselves, metals, chemicals, pesticides, these kinds of things. And we were also seeing that the cells were being damaged, okay? And when I say cells were being damaged, I'm talking about, you have little engines, in the cells called mitochondria that have 2 very important functions. They control the function of the cell, like the master control, and they produce energy for cellular function and system function. Now, if they're damaged, it means, number one, you lose control of the cell, and number 2, that the cells don't produce energy properly. Number 3, the other thing that we were seeing a lot of is we were seeing blood vessel damage. Now, that's very important, because if the blood vessels are damaged, it means they can't expand and contract properly. That means we can't deliver oxygen, or blood or nutrients properly to the areas of the body in need. That means you can't power the body systems properly. And of course, that's why we're seeing what are we seeing? A lot of the body systems don't work properly. Okay. And of course, yes, we're seeing toxic load, and we're also seeing universally stress. And stress is really a big deal because when we're stressed, it activates the body's survival system. And what we are seeing for most people today is that they're locked into fight or flight mode. They're locked into survival mode. All the stress is constantly triggering that. And in nature, of course, if an animal is threatened, the threat will come and it will go. So the nervous system can then calm down and go back to normal. But that's not so with what's happening to the way that we're living. It's constant, endless stress activating survival mode. And what that means is, while the body is locked into survival mode, it cannot repair. It's not possible. The body will not divert resources for repair and regeneration while it's locked into survival mode, because the priority is to fight or to flee. And all the body's systems are on alert to direct resources for those two purposes only. The body won't release resources for anything else. So a key to recovering or restoring the body's repairing systems, you have to turn off, you have to reset the nervous system and calm it down so that we get the body into rest and recovery mode, so it can actually start repairing and start allocating resources for regeneration, if that makes sense.
So then where does red light or infrared therapy or light therapy come into play?
I love that question. So let me ask you a question. How do you feel when you're in the sun?
Well, personally, I love it when I'm in the sun. I mean, of course, it depends on when and where I'm at and what I've got going on. If I'm supposed to be going to a meeting and I'm in New York City and it's in the middle of the summer and it's humid and hot and I'm supposed to be looking presentable in front of a group of people, I'm probably not feeling my best. But when I was just recently in Maui and enjoying my time having a little vacation, I felt the most incredible. So
in daylight, there's far infrared in daylight. And most people, when we're in the sunlight, not stressing, running from meetings in New York City, but what the way most people feel, the experience that they have when they're in the sun, is that number one, they feel relaxed. Number two, they feel energized. And number three, they actually feel there's a sense of well-being. And there is science behind all of that. The far infrared in daylight resets the nervous system, number one. And I would say to you, we focus a lot on detox and repair and regeneration and increasing circulation. And many people think of sweating and all this kind of thing. And the reality is, I would say probably the number one priority is just you have to calm the nervous system down. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing will work until you calm the nervous system down. So being in sunlight, it gives you that experience of naturally infusing the cells of the body with light, which automatically calms the nervous system down in minutes. Doesn't take long. Okay, that's number one. Number two, why do you feel well? Because the far infrared triggers the production of endorphins. So physiologically, as I said, there is a reaction to light being sent into the cells of the body. And you feel energized because literally you're putting pure energy into the cells of the body, into the body battery that the body can take and use immediately. So you're charging the cells of the body with photons, with pure light.
So then why would it be, couldn't a person just go outside and get in the sunlight and not have to spend the money of spending money with Get Fitt?
I'm an advocate of getting outdoors and getting daylight as much as possible. But here's the thing. So here is the irony, Josh. We are the indoor generation. We're sedentary, we sit between 8 to 12 hours or more daily, and we are indoors over 90% of the time. And that's why everyone focuses on nutrition, yeah, protein, vitamins, minerals, and all the nutrient deficiencies. But hey, guess what? Light bulb moment, we are light deficient.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
we actually had I actually had a guest on the show. Forget his name off the top of my head, but he wrote a book called The Light Diet,
Mm.
and he mentioned a lot about how that's obviously it's a nutrient and that we can have deficiencies of light. And so I'm glad you brought that up, but please continue.
So it's crazy. You know, I think it's crazy. We've had to develop technology so that people can supplement with light because they live indoors in
Right.
boxes.
Right.
That's it. That's the reality. Is it ideal? No, it isn't. Do I want people outdoors exercising, moving, breathing, taking light in nature, going swimming in the sea? And I want all of that for everybody. But the reality is it isn't happening.
Right. Yeah. Well
That's
said.
it.
I think this is why biohacking has become as prevalent today as it is, and it's mostly because not that this is all we should do. We should only use technology to get us healthy, but understanding the reality is that, well, we travel, right? You mentioned earlier you travel a lot. I certainly travel a lot. So what are some things that we can do to kind of help offset our modern day lifestyle? And I think that's what you're touching on. And so it's important to understand we do need to get outside, regardless of if we have all the tools or not. We still need to get outside. We still need to probably move. We still need to focus on our macros and things like that. But there's also something that you're talking about, which is this underlying idea of getting your body to calm down so that we can then have the energy to process all the things that we're then going to introduce, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I have a little bit of an issue with biohacking in a way, because for me, biohacking is a reaction, yeah, to the lifestyle that we're living. Take this, do this, do this, without necessarily addressing underlying cause,
Hmm.
which means that we're forever reacting to the symptoms that we're having that we are driving and creating from the way we're living.
And I think you and I discussed this when we first had our conversation,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
think
we
I
could.
think that goes back to the perception of what biohacking means, right? Because I
Absolutely.
think biohacking means something different to everyone, right? Because I consider biohacking to be the use of ancestral wisdom, right?
Mm.
So what our ancestors may have used, understanding that, I mean, to be honest, like our ancestors are the original OG biohackers, right? They were the ones, especially like Native Americans, they, because I grew up in Oklahoma, so I know a lot about the Native American history, and they were able to understand and utilize the energy from the earth to be
Mm.
able to kind of help themselves heal, right?
Mhm.
And I think that that's really powerful. But then we take things out of context, and we see on social media that biohacking means, oh, you've got to have the fancy glasses, you've got to have the fancy
Yeah, yeah.
rings and things like that. So I do get your point. it
No, do you
it's
know what? I like your definition. I think that's a more authentic definition of biohacking, and I really like that. And then in that context, that I think that's a great definition. Yeah, and I mean, you won't believe this. We've had clients who have had a terminal illness calling us up, and lifestyle is the point. Calling us up and saying, "Oh, I haven't got time to do
mm,
to use the equipment," but I get it, and of course, it explains a lot about where they are. But that led me to question myself. Well, okay, if this is the reality of what's going on for people, what can we do? What's the solution? How can we solve that problem? You haven't got the time. So then my thinking was, okay, well, what do we need to do to take the time out of the treatment? Okay, because at the end of the day, it's not about what I want. If people, irrespective of condition, saying, you know what, I'm busy, I don't have time, then for me, how can I serve best? The best thing, one of the greatest services I can provide for anybody is, okay, let's take time out of the equation, and then I can transform your day into regeneration time, not degeneration time.
oh, I like where you're headed. And I want to touch on that a little bit more, because I know that you guys do far more than just sauna blankets, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so I think that's going to be a good segue into the next bit of things we talk about. But before we do that, let's have a moment of movement or movement snack. What is something that
yeah.
you typically like to do when you find yourself being sedentary for long periods of time, or you feel this instinctual urge to have to move? What is something that you would do in your normal life?
Well, that's a great question. And the real movement, of course, is the motion and the movement in the mind.
Mm.
That's the real movement. And when you calm the mind, the body will follow. Now, I share, we do, as part of how we help people, we actually help people. We have a recovery mindset training. And the question I always ask myself in pretty much every context is, how easy can we make it? And we didn't touch on this, but a part of my travels was that I lived with a yogi for many years, studying an ancient science of breath and meditation. And the long and short of it was that, what I learned from this wise man, shall we say, was that it has to be the simplest and it has to be the easiest to be as relevant as possible. And what I observed with in so many different areas of life is that people quit 90% of the time. You have the 5% that follow through, and then you have the 95% that don't necessarily have the wherewithal to take action. So my desire has always been, how can I help and reach the 95%?
Mm. Yeah, I find it interesting that the people who typically give up are the ones that question most everything. It-
It's an interesting thing. At the end of the day, we are hardwired to remain the same.
yeah.
For
Yeah.
comfort, security, for safety, and primarily for survival, actually. So the habit, it's such an interesting thing. Many of us, over the years, we've developed the habit of remaining the same. And that's why often the system is not geared to change.
Mm. So
We
what's your simple movement?
So the breath, I've got a little breath exercise, and what I would explain is, you may or may not know this, is that your thinking follows your breathing, and your breathing follows your thinking. So the thinking often is triggering stress. We're thinking a million miles an hour, and the easiest way to slow the thinking down, as I said, thinking follows the breathing, is literally you begin to slow your breathing down. So the first thing I would say is to everybody, first of all, what I would like you to is just observe your breathing. You're not doing anything, you're the observer, you're just watching, okay? I want you to just watch your breath, feel the breath moving in through your nostrils as you inhale, feel the warmth of the breath going up into the nostrils, into the head, into the cranium. And then as you exhale, again, follow that movement of the breath. You're breathing in through your nose and out through your nose if you can. If not, you'll need to breathe through your mouth. But all you're doing is observing. You're not doing anything, you're just watching. And I just want you to watch the breath going in as you inhale, and then watch it going out through your nose as you exhale. Feel the breath. Really focus your attention on the breathing, okay? All your attention on the breath. And as you feel it flowing into your nose, and as you feel it flowing out of your nose, what you will notice is that very slowly, the breath will start to slow down a little bit. And if you would like, what you can do is you can now breathe in just a little bit more slowly, being relaxed, being easy, being comfortable all the time. Shouldn't be any stress of any kind. Breathe in just a little bit more slowly, concentrating on the breath flowing and feel it flowing in. And then exhale a little bit more slowly. Feel the breath flowing out through the nose. And you can do that for another 4 or 5 breaths. You're just watching it flow in, you're feeling it flowing into the nose, up into the head and the brain. And then you're exhaling, watching the breath flow out through the nose. And again, you can just make the breath a little bit longer. Inhale a little bit longer, slower, deeper. And you exhale a little longer, slower, deeper. So we
What
can
I
just do
love What
Sorry.
I love about that is, and thanks for providing that. What I love about that is that you did make it very simple, and it was, you didn't have anybody sit in a certain position, hold your fingers this way. There was a few subtle cues in terms of breathing through the nose if you're able to, and things like that. But what's good about that is very simple. And I think people get caught up on this idea of, well, meditation and breath work. What kind of breath work do you do? And I get this question all the time. Well, what kind of breath work do you focus on? What kind of meditation do you do? And I'm kind of like, the
That's-
one in the moment. It's like, I don't know.
so do you know what, Josh? As I said, our goal is to eliminate as much complexity as possible. And listen, the reason we've had to do that is because many of our clients are too unwell. They have brain fog, they can't concentrate, they can't think. So with all of our training, we've had to make it very simple, very clear, very short, and as easy as possible. And the purpose of that little very simple technique that anybody can use, the whole point of that is that you use that during your activity. You don't sit for 10 minutes or 5 minutes doing the breath before. You can do it anytime you want. But the purpose of that little exercise is for use during activity so that you can calm the system down during the times of stress. When you're going through difficulty, you just bring your attention to the breath, work in the way that we just did, and you will reset your nervous system. And here's the thing, when you reset and calm the nervous system, when you slow the breathing down, automatically the number of thoughts that you have will reduce. You might have noticed that even when you were doing that. And what happens is the nervous system starts to calm down. And guess what? During your moment of need, you are your most resourceful, which is exactly what you want.
And you talk to anybody who serves in really intense occupations, whether it's the military or professional athletes, they're taught this at some point along their career through whether it's a military trainer or spiritual master. But this exact type of technique is utilized in extremely high intensity, high stress situations because they have to calm the nerves and emotions, or else things become very, very volatile.
You can't function if you're not calm. If you listen, think of this: if we're in some kind of difficult situation, stressful situation, a life-threatening situation, you want to be able to function at your best.
Yeah.
And if you are stressed and you're in fight or flight, that can't happen.
Yeah, that's right. Well, these are very, very great points. I want to go back to this idea of the client or the person who's maybe watching this or listening to this and has the same sentiment as the person you mentioned earlier about a client called up and they just don't have the time to do X, Y, and Z. I personally, I can admit this now. I personally felt the same thing when I got my Cocoon Soul, which we will go through the different products that you have on the site so that people know what a Cocoon Soul is and the other products you have. But what would you say to and what maybe did you say to the person that feels like they just don't have the time to do it? How did you make it more simplified, and how did you encourage them to ultimately utilize the products?
So my comment to them was, well, let's take time out of the equation.
And how'd you do that?
So there's a number of things, a number of ways we've done that, and a number of we've developed certain products to enable that. Because listen, as I said, first of all, a really key message and a key takeaway that I'd like to give everyone, and I hope this is useful: your body repairs and heals itself and regenerates naturally. Your body will do that, except when it doesn't. And what we want to do is we want to get your systems back up and running so that your body is regenerating. Okay, number one. Number two, so how we solve the problems, how we take time out of the equation is we have technology that we've developed that can be used in the bed while you're sleeping. And
Okay.
that's such a no-brainer, because it means you can get 8 hours. If I said to you, hey, Josh, go and do an 8-hour treatment, it's not going to happen. But you are going to sleep every day, hopefully for 8 hours or so. And if we can convert that 8 hours into regeneration time, into detox time, into repair time, even more so, that's a no-brainer. So first of all, we've converted sleep time. We've got a system that can be used. It can be used with heating or with, it doesn't need heat. It's also body heat activated to generate the technology is based on minerals that occur in nature. The quality that they have is that when they are heated, they emit photons. So that's what we have in our sleep technology. Some of these minerals that when you lay on the mat, it's like a mattress topper, simply by virtue of lying on top of it, your body heat is transferred and activates the minerals. The minerals generate light and are infusing your body with light all through sleep time.
Now that's cool as hell. Can you pull that up, Gordon? Because that should be on the website, right? Which one is that?
That's our sleep tech. You can find that if you go to products and scroll down, you'll see sleep tech. But that, again, that's like a mattress topper. And so again, for me, absolute no-brainer. Keep going, I'll tell you. So if you can see in that row on the right, there's you can see a bed. Yeah, that's it. So how easy is that? If we want to regenerate, we can get 8 hours a day, every single day, just by you sleeping in bed. And you don't need heating. If you want heat, some people run very cold. They like some warmth. And to be clear, as I said, we don't need high temperatures. This is designed to be used at low temperatures and is perfect for sleep. Now, there's the common wisdom is you have to be in a very cool room. Yeah, the temperature has to be a low temperature for the body to sleep, to get the best sleep. And here's the thing, that may be so for when the body works.
Good point.
But most people are so stressed, they're not sleeping. And what we found is, so as I said, to be clear, we don't need to use temperature, but guess what? Over so many years, we found thousands of clients working with low temperature, sleeping better than ever. Longer sleep, deeper sleep, free from pain, waking up with more energy. So, a lot of conventional, should we say, doctors and healthcare professionals have got pretty upset with me suggesting that you warm the body, and that's going to be beneficial. We found it very helpful for sleep.
Well, to be fair on that point, I'm someone that I run hot, and I have one of those temperature controlled. It's called a chili pad. I have a chili pad on my bed, and I've had it for years. And I also have a sleep system that is a grounded system that has grounding capabilities in the pillows and in the sheets and all that stuff. And for a long time, I used to do cold showers before going to bed because I understood that the research was saying that we should be cooler so that we could sleep better. And then as our body heats up, that's usually when it's closer to time for us to wake up and things like that. And then I heard something that was kind of against all of that notion and was saying that we should be looking at taking a warm shower before bed to see what that can do to the body. And I did it the first time I did it, it dramatically helped my sleep because it forced my body to cool itself off as opposed to warming myself up. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. So now that's what I do. I still have my cooling pad. I still have my grounding mat, and I do have the Cocoon Soul. And I saw that you can open that thing up and you can either lie on it or lie under it, right? Which is also pretty cool. But I do think it is interesting that you showed and that we talked about the sleep system, because that is fascinating. That's very similar to this this pad that I have on my chair when I'm sitting in the front room. It has those amethyst crystals, and I believe it has a few other crystals in it, which is I think similar to what you're talking about, right?
Well, we don't use crystals for a very simple reason. Crystals, yes, they generate some far infrared, but we were talking about power and generating as much far infrared as possible. And certainly what we've discovered over the years is that using crystals, number one, personally, I don't find it particularly comfortable. But number two, the other thing is that you want the largest surface area of the minerals exposed as possible to generate as much far infrared as possible. In other words, you want, if you could possibly have those crystals like a fraction of an inch or a fraction of a millimeter, you're going to get much more generated over a much larger area. And that's kind of what we've done. We've reduced these minerals and crystals to really a fraction of a millimeter in size. And what that means is you've got a massive, I mean, a really big surface area, which means we are able to put way more far infrared into the body, which of course is what it's all about.
That's very cool. Yeah, Gordon, I noticed you had a few of the other products up on the screen as well. Can you talk about some of the other ones, Mark? Because I know when you mentioned back in 2000, during that 8-month period, you had kind of a half moon sort of thing that was at the top. If you scroll back up, Gordon, that's something similar to what you had at the beginning, right?
But that's it. That's it. Just there, the burgundy. It's like an arch, a dome, and so yeah, that was the original piece of equipment that I used, and how we use that today. So what we have is like so much more powerful. And you know, the irony was, the Japanese company that we were working with, you know, the Japanese quality is incredible, you know, really the best in the world. There was no question. But you know something? They never upgraded the technology.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and okay, but the problem was what we saw. We started developing the technology because we knew that we could get even better performance and generate a lot more far infrared, and that's what we ended up doing. So we developed the technology ourselves. We developed the sleep tech. We developed our dome, and how we use the dome is, think of that as our laser. We use that for targeted local treatment for a problem area. If there's a joint or an organ or some part of the body that really needs extra help, we use that to target specifically a problem area. So what I would say to you is, normally we tend to find that whatever people's health problems are, there's normally so many different disruptions in the whole body system. There's not one thing going on. You know, there's problems with circulation, there's problem with different organs, blood, there's inflammation, there's toxic load, there's so many things going on. And we found that the quickest, easiest way to help the body was to work on the whole body all at the same time. All the organs, all the systems, the entire cardiovascular system, which is why primarily, if it's doable for people, we always start with the whole body, and then we'll focus on a problem area, because a local problem is normally the result of a systemic issue.
So ideally, a person would, if they're able to, would start with a sauna blanket, something that covers the entire body. Because one of the things I do love about what I've seen with your product and what I've used so far is that you have that infrared technology on the bottom and the top, basically the entire bag, so to speak, right?
Exactly. And the thing about it is, as I mentioned, what we wanted to deliver and develop was something that generated way more far infrared than anything else that was available, because we were dealing with clients who were on death's door. We had to have something incredibly powerful. So that equipment that we have is it's the only professional grade equipment. What happened is, we were providing clinics and doctors and things with this equipment, but guess what? A lot of our clients were too ill to travel. They couldn't get to the clinics, they couldn't get to the doctors. So we made a decision to make the professional equipment available to the public.
Smart.
So that's what we've done. So we took the clinic to them, and the benefit of that, of course, was that it cost a lot less, because they didn't have to pay per treatment, you know, every time they went to the clinic. And not only that, they were able to use the equipment as often as they needed in the comfort of their own home. It really was win-win.
Bingo. Yeah, the compliance thing is huge. Like you touched on earlier, taking away the excuse or taking away the issues that may keep someone from staying compliant and to getting the most amount of use out of it. It sounds like you took that away. And of course, there is a cost to that. But what I like to talk about is, with a lot of these modalities, I spend a lot of money on all of my tools and practices and things like that. But it ends up, I've noticed that it's far less than having to go to a facility to do it, or to have to, you know. So while it is, some of these things can be considered expensive, are you actually understanding how much it costs to invest in your health? Because that's the one thing that we should be investing in all the time, is our health.
No health, no wealth.
There you go.
And so just a quick question, Mark. Throughout all of this, one of the things that keep you've touched on a few times is I guess to put it very simply, is where are you facing the most resistance from sort of the overall healthcare industry? Because it seems like certain doctors are more open-minded and willing to work with you, and then at other times you mentioned other doctors being more skeptical or downright, just being hostile. And where's that direct threat? Is it coming from big pharma? Is it coming from the medical establishment and academia having a certain sort of dogmatic approach to healthcare that they're just unwilling to change? And where are you seeing progress in sort of in those arenas?
Very simply, good health isn't profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Okay, so let's leave that in the background. My comment to you is, I think the reality is we've seen a kind of a quantum shift in people's awareness. I think with the recent health challenges, the pandemic, and everything that's gone on, I think certainly we've seen in Europe a lot of people feeling, I describe them as medical refugees.
Mm-hmm.
They're out in the cold. The system has nothing to offer them.
Mm-hmm.
They've got no solutions. And I think that's what people are experiencing. Forget what I think. People are experiencing directly that the system has nothing to really help them. They're being left high and dry. They're not well. They have no energy. They've got pain throughout the body. They're left with endless fatigue and cardiovascular issues ongoing. And they're, the majority of people are being advised, you're going to have to live with this.
Right.
And the result of that is that people are now starting to use the internet and look further afield for solutions. So I believe that everything that's gone on has actually changed people's awareness, and because they're not getting any help, not to alleviate, to deal with the problems and solve the problems, we are seeing a much larger proportion of people that normally would have gone conventional medicine now coming to people like us, willing to investigate and experiment and see if there is something that can help. And of course, all you have to do is jump online, do a little bit of research, and you're going to find, well, actually, yeah, there are things that you can try. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So then when it comes to everything you just discussed there, because that was a very good question, Gordon, and something that I know you're going to be well versed at speaking on, Mark. What's going to keep someone from hearing this or watching this episode now, understanding that light is important and far infrared technology is important and low EMFs and all these things? What's going to keep someone from simply Googling far infrared sauna blanket and coming up against, loads of other products out there that are much cheaper? What sets your products aside, or, what puts you into a different stratosphere?
So first of all, I'd like to share with you my original vision. When I had my revelation, when I was doing my treatment, and I had this energy experience where I felt this energy flowing through my body, repairing the damage, the only thing I had in my head was, I want everyone to know about this. So number one, should we say, part of my big mission was to share and disseminate information about far infrared and to just tell people about it and get people using it. So for me, if somebody comes off of this show and goes and buys a far infrared piece, it's a win-win for me. It's a win for me, because my goal was always to disseminate information about this healing technology, to make it more, to bring awareness into the public arena about that this is a possibility. And if people want to work with us, we're very happy. But to answer the question about specifically, what's different about what we do in our technology, number one, as I said, with all of our clients, you're not just getting a product, you're getting us, really, you're getting us providing you with the training, with the education, with the consultations to guide you through your whole program. And what we've found over the years is that that's essential. And it's essential because what I explain is, what we've seen over the years is, when you go and when you start a treatment, for example, far infrared, you think, great, I want a detox. I want my body to repair. But guess what? The reality of the situation is that the body systems are down. They're not working. That's why there's illness and some kind of degeneration, because the systems don't work properly. So what I like to explain or share with our clients is that there's a level of repair that needs to happen first before the body can start repairing and detoxifying. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So there's a journey. We explain normally we want maybe 6 to 8 weeks to start repairing the damage, getting the body working so that it's able to repair and start healing itself, number one. And I'll give you an example. You know, our equipment is so powerful, we have some people doing just 30 seconds of treatment with good results.
How does that work?
Literally. So for example, you've got the cocoon. I kid you not, we have them switch it on, we have them go in for 30 seconds, and that's it.
Let's show what the cocoon looks like, if you don't mind, Gordon. There we go. So I have the cocoon soul, which I think is your top of the line
Yeah.
product. and again, because I don't want to gloss over the fact that there are lots of differences beyond just the, and I'm not saying that the sort of human resources or the fact that, you know, you guys give all sorts of help along the way. That's very, very important. But there's also a number of things, because I think, you know, on your website you have somewhere where there's comparisons between the conventional products and what you guys are doing, and you actually have data. I think that is huge to address the question that Gordon brought up. Now there's more and more data to be able to share with some of these doctors and medical professionals, and also with the audience. So we should talk about that too.
The tech is quite different. You know, the reason that our equipment is very costly is because you've got, for example, with the cocoon, the entire system is literally a solid sheet of minerals above and below generating the far infrared. Okay, with the reality is the majority of technology for all the other so-called blankets out there is 20 years old, and we know because we build the stuff, and it's being presented as, oh, this is the latest and the newest. It isn't, not at all. It's just that people don't know about it, haven't really heard about it. So people, shall we say, you know, are marketing in a way saying, oh, it's new, and it's new because people don't know about it. But what is actually being used in terms of tech, yeah, in the ordinary blankets, I kid you not, is a wire. It's a cable. And if I don't know if Gordon can show that thermal image, and I can show exactly, you know, the impact that makes. If you can scroll down, and I can show the actual thermal image of the equipment. But basically, in the
there it is.
Yeah, keep going. That's it. That's the one. So, ordinary blankets, for want of a better phrase, are using literally a wire that is in the blanket, and it winds around the blanket. Okay, and on that diagram, I don't know if you can bring it up in the main screen, or it's being shown there. That's it. So the diagram on the left, what you see is basically green and red stripes. The red, Josh, do you remember I said to you there's a wire, there's a cable winding around the so-called blanket. That wire is the red line showing in that thermal image. The red is indicating the far infrared that is being generated. The green is where there is no far infrared. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So green, no far infrared. Red is where you've got some far infrared. So you can see there is some far infrared. Now, if you take a look on the right, as I said, what we have is solid panels and sheets of this really miniaturized particles of minerals, so we can deliver huge amounts of far infrared. You'll notice that the whole thing is red and orange. That whole thing is generating far infrared. So if you take a look at it, as I just explained to people, there is no comparison.
And that's an image of the cocoon soul being opened up
Yes.
as a bed sheet or a bed pad.
Exactly. And so think of that being above you and below you.
Exactly.
So we're infusing, and I like to describe this as photon infusion. And that's what I'd like all of your viewers and listeners, I really want them to get that. What you are doing with this technology is you are, think of an IV, you're infusing your cells directly with light. And this light, it does have a heating and warming effect. So if someone wants a sauna experience, you can do that. But what I want you to understand is you don't need to do that. A lot of our clients don't like the heat. They don't like getting too hot and sweaty. They can't tolerate it. And the other thing is, the myth that you need to sweat to detoxify, it's absolute nonsense. The skin is not your major organ of elimination, number one. Number two, even if your skin worked perfectly and you pumped toxins out of the skin, it's only a small percentage. Yeah, it's only like 2 or 3%. What you want to be happening is you want to be restoring the function of your liver and your kidneys. They are the major detoxifiers, the major organs of elimination that you want working. So everyone's busy pumping sweat out through the skin. It's like trying to pump out, your toxins through a needle. It's not helpful. Yes, you do detoxify. I'm not saying you don't, but it's not really the quickest, easiest way to do it. And what is often not understood, Josh, do you remember I was saying to you, a lot of the organs and systems, they're not working properly? Now, when people are experiencing some kind of health challenge, the cells aren't producing energy very well, circulation isn't great. And what that means is often that the heart is not pumping so well. Now, your body is monitoring, all the organs functioning or not functioning. And when there's toxic load and cell damage, the body notices that your heart's not working so well. It's not pumping quite as well as it normally does. So the body understands that. And then what the body does is say, right, I can see my heart's not working so well. Let me cut the blood supply to other organs and systems that don't need the blood so much. Let me prioritize the blood supply. And what happens is that the blood supply will be reduced in this order to the skin. So hence, sometimes if you don't sweat, that's a sign that your cardiovascular system is compromised, okay? Number two, if you're getting muscular aches and pains, again, it's because the second set of organs where the blood supply gets reduced is the muscles. So you get buildup of lactic acid, you're not getting enough blood flowing and bathing the muscles, clearing the lactic acid, so you get some pain. Thirdly, is the digestive system. A lot of people have poor digestion. It's because the blood supply to the digestive system has been cut. Fourth set of organs, are liver and kidneys. Ironic, because we've got a toxic load and we need to detoxify, but the blood supply has been cut to the liver and kidneys. So in the first 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks of what we're doing, we start repairing the cells so that they can start producing energy properly. The heart can start pumping properly. That means we start getting more blood into all the organs and systems, including the liver and kidneys, which means we can start detoxifying properly.
Back to my experience, because I love to speak about my experience with this, because most people, I think, nowadays know that chances are if I'm promoting something or talking about something, I usually like to try it out myself. And so what I did was, when I got mine, I wanted to make sure to try it out. I set it up. I ended up doing a sort of a meditation session with this product called Brain Tap. So I did Brain Tap on my my headphones, my eyes. I laid in the cocoon soul, turned it up, I think to 30 or 40 degrees. That would be Celsius. And I thought to myself, oh, when I finish my meditation session and I come out of this sauna session, I thought it was going to be just completely doused with sweat. And I literally had a couple of drops, and I'm not even joking, just a couple drops of sweat on the actual cocoon soul. Of course, on my body, I had some sweat and moisture on my body. But my point of even bringing this up is I wanted to discuss minimum effective dose, best practices, so best times of the day to use this, for how long, which would be the minimum effective dose, best time of day to use it, and then the idea of wearing clothes or not, because I noticed on your website, obviously I don't think you're going to be showing naked bodies, but I don't even see people just in their underwear. I see mostly people clothed. So let's discuss those three.
Great. So I often do a treatment at the end of the day. I've got some equipment in the office. I go in fully clothed. I put it on at around 40, 42 degrees. I'm not getting hot and sweaty. It's warm. It's nice. Circulation is improved. I'm relaxed. I've de-stressed. So to be clear, you can go in fully clothed, no problem. What I would say is, if you are taking your treatment and you are getting a little damp and a little moist, then I would recommend then that you go in underwear. And then when you're finished, you do shower, because if there is moisture, or slight dampness, that means there will be some toxins, in the moisture. And ideally, you do want to wash those off and shower them off. Okay. And just to be clear, when you do shower, you want a cool, it doesn't have to be freezing cold, but you want a lukewarm or a cool shower. And the reason is that if you have a warmer or a hotter shower, you open the pores of the body and they reabsorb the toxins that are on the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so cool, lukewarm, wash off with soap, of some description, take the toxins off the skin, and then you can turn the temperature up and have a regular shower, no problem at all. Okay, so number one, that's our friend. So number one, clothing, no problem. You can take the treatment with your clothing, that's fine. Number two, in terms of time of day, again, really great question. I like to start my day with the far infrared because it charges me up. I get a charge for the day, got lots of energy. I start my day very relaxed. I enjoy that. So you can start, at the beginning of you do your treatment at the beginning of the day. The ideal time, I would say, is between 30 to 45 minutes. We build up to that, but ideally we'd like to get you doing 30 to 45 minutes. And I would say a baseline would be 3 times a week minimum. That's if you're doing consistently 3 times a week, you're going to get cumulative benefit from the treatment. Okay. You can build up to daily if you have the time and you enjoy it, no problem. So certainly you can do it at the beginning of the day. Also, if you're generally stressed and you're not sleeping very well, we find that sometimes if people do it a little bit later in the day, maybe not too late in the evening, but maybe 7 o'clock or something like that, 7:30, we often find that people will sleep much better if they're not sleeping well. And as a general rule, we tend to find that when people start using the far infrared, they do start sleeping better.
Beautiful. So I think one of the things that is evident with all of this is that you kind of have your flagship products, but then you have some of the other products that we sort of briefly scrolled on, or flashed on the screen. Like, for instance, I noticed that you have a pad for the back, and I think would probably go well on the shoulder. But I think if I remember correctly, you also have a vest. You have a few other things. Can we talk about that quickly before we wrap up?
Sure. So as I said, what we realized was that how can we be most helpful to people who are busy? And my thinking was, okay, number one, as we discussed, how can we take time out of the treatment so that busy people can be doing this without needing any extra time? So we thought what I would love is a busy person to be infusing the cells of their body all day long. And that is not too much. People say, can't you overdo it? The doctors are making it very clear that sedentary lifestyle is one of the biggest causes of disease. We're not moving, we're not breathing, we're not circulating blood. The body is degenerating and being stressed throughout the day in that way. So if there's a way that we can offset that stress from sitting all day and not moving, that for me is exciting. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet is the far infrared has an exercise effect. It activates the cardiovascular system, even though you're sitting completely still. And that's really helpful. A lot of our clients who have been housebound, bedbound, or not able to move, or they've been immobile for a longer period, we can activate the cardiovascular system while they're lying down in bed.
Right. Well, that's the benefit of the circulation too, right? Like, I think it's an incredible.
It's really beneficial. And also in the context of sedentary lifestyle, then we have a lot of our clients using our wearable equipment while they're working at their PC or their computer all day long. Activating blood supply, calming the nervous system, putting the body into rest and recovery mode. We're regenerating. So we are transforming that stressful and degenerative time into regeneration time. So what we thought, okay, what are the times that we can transform into regeneration time? So number one, sitting time. We've got something you can wear, okay, as a vest. We've got something that you can use when you're watching TV or reading or relaxing on your sofa. We've got a little mat that you can sit on or lie on. So suddenly, this is a lot of hours. This is a lot of time we're racking up. Sitting down, watching TV, relaxing, reading. Yeah, we've now got all of that time where we can put far infrared into the body. We've now got something that you can wear during your day, in the office, even when you're out. You can have it under your jacket, under your coat. We can have you wearing this all day long. And then we have you go to bed with our far infrared. So actually, we can have between 18 to 24 hours of regeneration time. It's game changing. It really is.
And how does I think it's quite clear that, because you mentioned earlier that the sleep system, it has no EMFs because you're not plugging anything in or whatever, right? And I imagine you have that in some other technologies. But with the vest, when Gordon had the image up, it shows that there's a bright red light on there. So it makes me think that there is some kind of activation of something. How does that work?
So we have these power banks, that we use to power the portable equipment. And one of the reasons we introduced these was specifically because they were as low as you can possibly get for the electrical fields. Yeah, they're 5-volt, 2 amps, and we did the electrical field testing on it, and it was coming out close to zero for all of it. So we love that. It's super low power, super low in terms of electrical fields. And as I said, always remember the far infrared is also going to neutralize any electrical field, the stress from any electrical fields anyway. So we love the portable power, for the vest. And also, as I said, for the sleep tech, it's actually a water powered system.
Oh, brilliant. And quickly with the power bank, is that is it rechargeable? And if so, how long do you anticipate someone being able to use the power?
So the power bank that we have, and we don't ship these overseas. You can get them. What we do is, for our clients, we'll send you a link where you can buy them locally in your country. We normally recommend 10,000 milliamps for most of our equipment, because it'll give you about 4 or 5 hours use. And actually, we recommend most people have 2, so you can use one. Once that runs out, plug the other one in and then recharge it. And it takes 4 or 5 hours to charge up again.
Brilliant. And then the sleep system, you were just briefly talking about the water, the way it's powered with water. How's that?
So again, we actually designed that. We have a lot of our clients are very, very sensitive. They're chemically sensitive. So it's made from cotton and natural materials. We also have a lot of clients that are very, very sensitive to electrical fields. So specifically for them, we took the electrical fields out of the equation. And how that works is, we have literally a controller. Think of it as a mini boiler. The controller plugs into the electrical supply, and the controller will heat the water that it then pumps into the mat to warm it. So in the mat, there is no electrics or wires or cables, just warmed water.
Okay, interesting. Sign me up when you get one that uses cold water.
Well, listen, the thing is, you don't have to turn the heating on. You can just put the mat on. You don't need the heating because it's body heat activated.
That's right. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Yeah. Before we start wrapping up, I want to also make sure that people utilize the description, because Gordon is going to input all of the links to this material we've been talking about, obviously to the website. We're going to talk. Mark is going to let us know the best places to keep track with everything with Get Fit. Also, we're going to be posting a link so that you can get a discount with the discount code for the listeners and the viewers of the show. So don't forget to listen to the end and also to refer to the show notes. Okay. But Mark, before we go into our last questions, what else would you like people to know about what you're doing and what you see on the horizon? Because I know when we first started, before we started recording, you had mentioned that this was probably a good time because there's a lot of exciting things happening. Can you fill us in a little bit on that?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that really critical question. And I think in terms of wrapping up, what I'd like to explain is, in summary, in very simple terms, what sending light in the form of far infrared into the cells of your body is going to do for you. When you infuse the cells of your body with light, it's going to clean them, it's going to repair them, it's going to reset your nervous system, putting the body into repair and recovery mode. Okay, it's also going to repair your blood vessels, which means you're going to be able to circulate blood properly and supply and increase oxygen and nutrients and blood supply to all your organs and systems. It really is like resetting and rebooting, yeah, the entire system. And I think one of the things I was referring to when I said that this is such an exciting time, for nearly 20 years we've been doing a lot of work with neurodegenerative disease. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, multiple sclerosis, all of these kinds of things. And it's just not something we've really talked about. We've just been getting on with it. And we've seen amazing results in terms of you can repair the damage and you can restore function of the nerves and the nervous system. You can, number one, the easiest path for any neurodegenerative disease or cognitive function problems is to prevent the problem, ideally. And it's easy. All of these things are preventable. You can repair, and we have been working with people who have been severely compromised in terms of, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, multiple sclerosis. And what I would say to you is, again, sending light into the cells of the body can help repair the nerves, restore nerve function, restore brain function, and eliminate a lot of the problems with neurodegenerative disease are the toxic proteins that are being generated in the body that are damaging the nerves. And one of the things light therapy, far infrared, helps with is it actually helps clear and helps the body to detoxify these toxic proteins. It inhibits the production of the toxic proteins, and you can repair the damage to the nerves. And for example, one of the main reasons that the nervous system is not working properly, the nervous system needs energy to function properly. And as we discussed, there's been cell damage and the cells are not producing enough energy. And what we can do now is we've got some new equipment that you can use for the head directly to start reducing the inflammation in the brain and start repairing the cells in the brain so they start producing energy, which means that you can start, literally, the nerves can start repairing, they can start functioning and transmitting the nervous signals normally and properly, so the nervous system can start firing and working properly again. Because the nervous system needs energy to function. And one of the reasons it often doesn't work is there's been damage and it can't produce energy properly. And you can repair all of that. That would be my kind of key takeaway. And that's actually what you can do with the body in a bigger context. You can repair the cells, you can get them producing energy properly, and you can fully activate the body's repairing and regenerating system so that you get well. And I'd like to describe the far infrared as brushing your teeth. Yeah, you brush your teeth every day. You're going to eat food every day. You're going to have your meals. You don't think, oh, I mustn't eat my food because my teeth are going to get dirty. You don't worry about it. You just clean your teeth. You don't think twice about it. And I would say to you today, you can reduce your exposure to toxins a little bit, but you can't avoid it. It's not possible today. So think of it. Think of toxins like food. They're going into the body constantly. And as long as you clean the body constantly and clean the cells regularly, the body is going to repair. You're not going to have any problems. So what we want you to do, what we want everyone to do is to regularly and consistently clean the cells of the body with light, repair the cells regularly, and you will experience lasting good health.
And just before we wrap, you kind of insinuated or displayed the fact that this might be some sort of hat or helmet. Is that right?
Yeah, we've literally just launched a new product. It's called our NeuroCap. And what we've done is we like to use the far infrared for the full body. The reason being is that the far infrared literally will travel through your whole body. So if we need to get access to cells, to DNA, if we want to get access to the deepest recesses of the body to clean and to repair, the far infrared is the most effective. So we love the far infrared for working on the whole body to clean everything. But we also like to work, as I mentioned, locally with specific problems, and recently we've just launched an infrared cap that allows us to work on the head, on the brain directly, using red and multi-spectrum near infrared. And the beauty of that is we're not using very much heat. We don't really want to heat the head. And
Right.
with the technology that we've got, we're not really heating the head. There's minimal to little or no heat. And with the wavelengths that we're using, we've got nice research showing that the wavelengths are sufficiently long enough to penetrate the brain, to start reducing the inflammation of the brain, to start repairing the cells, to start repairing the nerves. And we're already seeing some really, really good results. And the same thing, how easy can we make it? It's powered with one of our with one of our power banks, and you can use it anywhere. And that's kind of what we're wanting to do. We're wanting to introduce tech that you can wear anywhere and use anywhere, anytime. So you don't have to lose any time during the day. And in terms of how long you use it, we've got we guide our clients, but we have them build up. A session is normally about 15 minutes, and to begin with, we'll have people doing maybe 3 times a week, but then we'll build them up to daily and eventually to twice daily, 15 minutes a time, one in the morning, one in the evening. You just pop the cap on. You can put it on in the office or wherever you happen to be. And the power pack actually will last, a week or 2 when you're using it in that way.
I love it. Well, I would be more than happy to have you back to discuss some of this newer tech that you just mentioned, and possibly by then I'll have some of my own anecdotal N of 1 research on my use of the cocoon soul and any other products that we may get. Because what I did notice is for some of these brutal winters here in New York City and other places around the world, that vest and that jacket might be nice, because I noticed that there's what looks like might be hand warmers, and then obviously the back, which regulates a big portion of our body temperature, is also connected to the infrared. So that might be nice to have in the wintertime. Might be a good gift for people.
Something, I think that's right. And we've got some new stuff coming. So one of our most popular products last winter was actually our neck warmer.
Oh, okay.
And the great thing about that is, sorry, yeah. And the great thing about that is, when you warm the neck, you massively increase the blood supply to the head. So it's very beneficial for cognitive function as well.
Gift ideas, everyone. All right. Well, let's go into our last couple of questions, because we are getting quite long. But this has been a very fascinating discussion, and I would love to hear the listeners and the viewers. I'd love to hear your questions, your burning questions, pun intended, of some of the things that maybe I could have or should have asked Mark, and something that maybe you might be concerned with. And then obviously maybe when we get you back, we can address that, or maybe we do a live or something like that. But my first question I'd like to ask before we go, Mark, is what are your top 2 pet peeves? Like, what are a couple things that just really annoy you about anything in general, anything in life?
I think 2 things. Number one, the myth that you've got to sweat to detox. No need. The fact that the myth that you have to do long treatments, long sauna treatments, long hot treatments, it's nonsense. With the tech that is available, you can do this stuff for a couple of minutes and you're going to get. Of course, I'd like people to build up, but there's no need to inconvenience yourself. Think of the time you have to take a treatment, get hot, get sweaty, go and have a shower, then come out. It's a couple of hours. Yeah. So So we can say, how can you use that to us? So number one, you don't have to, if you like it, do it, but there's no need for that, number one. And number two, we're really encouraged in so many different ways to look outside of the body for remedies and solutions. And, the body is the most amazing system that will regenerate and repair. And to start acknowledging the power of our own body. The body is a miracle. It's absolutely miraculous. And maybe to begin focusing on that and starting to accept that the body can and will repair itself if you give it the right help.
All right. And my last question, one of my favorites for sure. What is something you are most grateful for?
I am most grateful for being able to help and serve others and help them get their lives back when potentially it appears that everything's been lost. That
Mm,
is the greatest gift for me.
beautiful. Okay. And for those who are looking to maybe find you online on social media, websites, things like that, can you rattle off best ways to find you and the company?
Yeah, I think we're on Instagram at get_fit, FITT. And something, what I would recommend is download our free guide. Yeah, you will then be on our mailing list, and that means that you will get access to all of our ongoing free webinars, workshops, and trainings. We've got a lot of different free webinars that we've done previously. Some of the recent ones on neurodegenerative disease, on repairing the cells of the body. We've got so much material, and if you're on our mailing list, you'll get access to everything. You'll be updated with new events. If you need any help or you've got questions, you can book a one-to-one. With the resources that you'll get a link to book a call with me if you would like a consult or you want to discuss the challenges that you're facing. So I would say download our guide. We've got I created a free video series. The videos are 1 to 2 minutes at a time. They're not long, they're simple, they're digestible, they're easy. And that'll give you a good overview as to how we can help, how far infrared helps the body. And as I said, once you're on our mailing list, you will be privy to all of our ongoing free education that we're constantly running.
And just to rehash this kind of a callback or a full circle moment, in that you've done a really good job, Mark, in creating something that's pretty simple for people to use. And what I would say is to just simply try it out. And with that, you guys, we didn't touch on this, but you guys have a rental program or a leasing program that I
Yeah.
think is very important to kind of allow you to try it out, just to see, like, is this going to help you? Is this something you want to invest more time into, more resources into? If the answer is yes, then you have all of that at your disposal. And if not, then you send it back, So I just thought I would throw it out there.
The rental program, as I said, we often suggest people start there if they have no experience of our equipment or far infrared. We often recommend the rental program. And what we've done is what we've been really happy to develop is we've included our VIP program with the rental program, which means automatically that you get like $4,000 worth of support, of coaching, ongoing. You talk to us during your program. We guide you, we supervise you. You get a number of one-to-one detox sessions and repair sessions. So there's a ton of value that comes with that, because as I said, our desire and our goal really is that we'd like to accompany all of you on your journey. We're not just interested in, here's a product, go. We want to take you on your journey and support you throughout your journey. So that's how we do it now. So you get the VIP program with any rental, and we often suggest that as a starting point.
Huge. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your chat. Thank you for your time. I'm happy that you have gotten to where you are. I'm glad that we connected, and I'm happy to continue my light journey, my light diet. And if anyone has any questions concerning like how I use it, what I'm doing, hit me up. Let me know. Obviously, download the free guide that Mark just mentioned, and let me know what your thoughts are on this. And so until next time, this is Josh signing out from Simply Walk the Talk. Thanks for your time, Mark. Peace.
Thanks a lot, Josh. Take care.
Simply walk the talk.
Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seatbelts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen.